Okay, let's do this. Welcome back to this channel. It's your resident internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor, Mystic Rain, and today we're actually going to do something that I actually did not plan on doing, but because there was a request, and I'm always here for you guys, here I am doing it. Before we jump in, I have announcements as always. If you would like to hang out with me and Kiki and then like throw some tarot cards around or learn about them, I will be doing a workshop in Atlanta on February 17th. If you would like to come to that, the link to book that is in the description box below. I will also be having additional classes that will be rolling out in the beginning of the year. So just keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you're watching the videos for when all of those get announced. We are doing a Divine Feminine Collective, okay? Which is going to be like a sister circle, and I'm super excited about it. We are also doing candle magic classes. We're doing charm casting and making your own divination set classes. We are going to be having a great time. So if that's something that you're interested in, keep your eyes open. If you would like to book a consultation with me, the link for that is also in the description box below. These are spiritual advisory consultations. This is for someone that's like, I'm at a crossroads in my life and I don't know what to do, but I need to get out of whatever this energy is, right? I want to be there, but I'm here. I need somebody to help me get there, right? I've got some blockages. I need to work through that. That is what these are. Now, it's not a traditional tarot reading. If tarot is required, then I may pull some out. It's all guided by intuition. It's all psychically guided conversation and coaching, but that is what that is. I also have an additional spiritual blueprint consultation as well, where we take the business idea that you have and we find the method and the strategy for how you should actually run it in a way that works for you. The thing about spiritual businesses is that it's an energetic manifestation of you, which means it will mirror where you're at that time, right? There are ways to know how to tailor it to your specific energy by going through your birth chart, looking at your human design. And so if there's something that you're interested in, that is also available for you, okay? So I wasn't going to do a predictions video. And why wasn't I going to do a predictions video? Because when I started looking into the energy, it was, well, kind of repeating energy. And then I felt that was kind of boring and it was going to be a lot of the same themes. And I was like, I don't really feel like talking about that again. It was going to be a lot of the same themes that were repeating itself from 2022, 2021. Why? Because people are just absolutely refusing to learn the lesson. And so it's going to keep going. And so I was like, I don't really think people want to hear about it again. And then I was also like, and then a lot of it is conflict. And do people really want to talk about that just because of everything that's going on right now? And then a request came in and I said, well, I guess you guys do. And so here we are talking about it. So there is a theme for 2024, right? And the theme, I have everything written down on my screen over here. So if you see me looking over, that's what I'm looking at. But the theme for 2024 is seek to see. There's going to be a lot of bursting of the illusion that we're currently in. And that is going to start driving people crazy. And so you're going to start seeing a lot of conflict. And you're going to be like, well, Mr. Crane, there's already a lot of conflict. It's going to feel like it just doesn't end. You're going to have moments where you're going to be like, if it's not one thing, it's another. It's just not ending. It's just going and going and going and going. The reason for that is that the illusion is busting. And it's busting for people who have not necessarily woken up or don't necessarily live a more spiritual life. And so they are now coming into this, what is happening and why is it happening this way? And they don't necessarily have metaphysical reasons for why it's the case. And so those people are going to be losing their mind. And so the theme for this year, and something that you need to hold for yourself, so when you are finding yourselves witnessing high times of conflict or even feeling like maybe you're a part of it, is seek to see. Seek to see why what is happening is actually happening. There are also some other words that came through. Expression came through, creativity, new ideas, manifestation, right? So for those of you who are more spiritually minded, which I suppose is going to be you, or you wouldn't have ended up in this video, you're going to be seeing a lot more opportunities to be creative, to express yourself. And by expressing yourself in a deep way in terms of like truth, who you are, what's your actual opinion. You are going to be confronted with opportunities to stand up for yourself. If you are someone that feels like I never stand up for myself, I'm a bit more passive than I would like to be, um, you're gonna have and it's gonna feel like those opportunities are hitting you one after the other, because it's going to be like this energy of, well, are you gonna do it now? Well, what about now? You're gonna do it now? You're gonna do it now? And so you're gonna have all these opportunities to speak up, say the truth, stand up for yourself, stand up for whatever it is that that you believe in. Stick to your guns, right? Like, okay, well, you're saying that, but I'm saying this. You're gonna have a lot of opportunities to do that. And with the expression and the opening of that, you're gonna notice a lot of creativity. It's going to offer up a lot of new opportunities for you to come into your confidence, come into your self-worth, come into your self-assuredness, and to start acting on your new ideas. These new ideas that are coming to you through you using that newfound creativity and using that new form expression. And those new ideas will be available for manifestation. And the reason for that is because our manifestation center is actually here. It is the throat chakra. It is the mouth, right? There are not a lot of holes in the body, okay, for energy to leave, right? The two bottom holes that you got is for waste. The only other hole that's really left for things to come out of in order to manifest is your mouth. And so as you start using that energy center, you'll have opportunities for these things to now manifest, right? Now, here's the catch. Spirit said, we've got to make a deal. If there are things that you want to manifest that you feel like will help you move into a new life, move into a new energy field, it's going to require that you release a lot of things. That can be people. People that you love very dearly are going to have to go or go get benched or sit down somewhere, right? It could mean leaving a location, leaving a job, leaving a situation, leaving a relationship, right? So if you want to manifest these new things and they're really important to you, you're going to have to give something up. It's almost like bartering or like paying, like Spirit's saying, how much? How much are you willing to give up in order to get this thing? It's going to require the release. That is the deal, is what I ended up writing down. That's the deal. You have to let it go in order for new things that you actually want, new things that you want to experience to flow into your life. But those things cannot flow into your life without you first letting a lot of those things go. Duchess, no biting your nails. I'm busy over here. So there is actually going to be an elevation in consciousness. And we talk about this all the time. Oh, the awakening of people waking up. Around 2020, the theme there was more so of an awakening. People kind of having this moment where they're like, oh my God, like this, not all is what it seems. Whereas now it's an elevation of consciousness, right? And with that elevation of consciousness, because it's rising to like a new level, or a new starting point, a new milestone, however you would say it, it's actually going to create a lot of conflict. It's not going to be like, oh, there's an elevation of consciousness and then therefore there's all this peace. It's going to create conflict because you have to move through conflict in order to get to peace. And the reason why it's going to create conflict is that as the consciousness elevates, people are going to start looking around and then going, wait a minute, this isn't right. How I'm being treated is not right. How that person being treated is not right. Why are societal structures structured the way they are? That is not right, right? Why is the government doing what the government is doing? That is not right. Why is this the way this is? That is not right. And then what's going to happen is people are going to say, actually, I don't actually want to live with those rules or through that paradigm. And so there's going to be like a tearing down of structures due to the elevated consciousness and people collectively saying, this thing right here is not right. And so we're going to change it. And because of that, it's going to start a lot of clashes, right? Because it's going to be this new idea, this new form of expression that's going to be held by a wide array of people. And that is going to be in direct conflict with the current paradigm that we have now that is struggling really hard to stay in effect. Those two things are actually going to start butting heads and going after each other. So it's going to be like a separation and then this conflict between what we perceive to be the matrix now versus what is going to be the new collective higher consciousness. It's going to create more divisiveness in society, right? And so we're looking at divisiveness now, and that's actually going to increase. So you're going to see a lot more world conflicts, right? So I did pull out a map because I can scribe with like locations on the map. and then saw that Brazil was going to have some problems in terms of like internal upset, civil unrest. And then I was like, you know what? I'm actually sick of looking at things like this. And so I put the map away. But because I already saw Brazil, that's why I'm giving it to you. But there's going to be a lot of unrest, and there's going to be a lot of civil wars happening. And it's going to be happening in multiple countries. There's also going to be another terrorist group that's going to come out, and they are close to where Gaza is right now. And when I say come out, I don't mean like a new artist. Like the group exists, right? It's just going to be like new, like conflict with a different group that's not what people are calling Hamas. So it's going to be like a different group. It's going to be in that same region, but it's going to be a different group. And what I am not quite sure of is whether or not the conflict is a spin-off of what's currently happening now, or if the conflict is its own separate thing. But it's going to be in that same region that's going to pop out as well. And so conflict is going to be really heavy, really, really, really heavy. You're going to see a lot more riots. It's not going to go away because, again, it's the consciousness getting an idea of where it wants to sit. And as it's doing that, it's going to be ruffling feathers, and there's going to be a lot of upset. And the reason for that is because people are going to be fighting to change what is currently now the status quo, and is something that other people feel is more beneficial to the whole, to the collective, right? People are going to be coming into the knowing that what happens to this person is also impacting me. And so because of that, there's going to be more of sort of a whole collective kind of fight that's going to be happening as well. Now, due to this, what's going to happen is that people that are not understanding what's actually happening in the energy are going to be more combative. So if you feel like you have family or friends and you just feel like you're always arguing and you were hoping that 2024 was going to be the year that you resolve all the fighting, maybe try for 2025, okay? There's going to be a lot of arguing. You're going to see people arguing more often. You're going to be seeing more arguing in the workplace, colleagues just arguing with each other, not liking each other, not getting along with each other. You're going to be seeing more random arguing out in public, like you're going to be standing in line at a Walmart and there's going to be two people fussing with each other over who got to the line first, different things like that. More arguing is going to be happening. And so your job is to seek to see. So when someone is provoking you or you feel provoked, stop first and ask yourself, what is this situation trying to show me? What is it about that person that I'm supposed to know in this moment? What am I supposed to learn about myself right now in this moment? Let me stop and seek to see the actual story that's going on here instead of responding to this person that's provoking me. Because a person that is trying to start the conflict, trying to start the argument is actually also dealing with the macro energy that's in the collective, which will be of conflict. And then also confusion due to the elevation of consciousness. And because the consciousness is elevating, and the people that are a part of that elevation are not necessarily spiritual, they are going to be confused about like why they are now seeing or thinking certain things, right? And the reason why consciousness can elevate without everybody is because you only need like a small percentage of people on Earth that's awake. The number I had received years ago was around 20%. You don't need really more than 20% of Earth's population to bring up the consciousness level, to bring up the frequency of it. So what's happening is that the frequency is going up. Not everybody was a part of that group, but they're getting pulled up too. And so they're going to have a choice of whether or not they're going to come up or they're going to want to stay where they are. And that energy, that macro energy that they're going to be dealing with without having the awareness that they're dealing with macro energy is going to cause people to be like irritable. And so if you feel like people are provoking you before responding or responding at all, say to yourself, okay, it's time for me to seek and see what's actually going on around here. Because there's going to be an uptick in arguments everywhere. Like everywhere. Everyone's just going to be arguing and fussing with each other. And you're going to look at them like, this isn't even that important. But they're just going to be fussing. So because there's so much like macro consciousness energy, you're going to have an ability, due to it being the year of like seeking to see, to choose what your reality is going to be, to choose which consciousness level that you want to actually interact with. you will have the ability to see the reality that you actually want to see. Now, the energy, the macro energy is going to be very responsive in the year of 2024. 2024 is a collective year. There's going to be a lot of opportunities, right? A lot of opportunities for success, for growth, for money, for business, but it's also going to be a lot of opportunities for self-sabotage, okay? And then messing up, right? But the messing up is not coming from like, oh, I made a mistake because I was trying something new. The messing up is coming from people using self-sabotaging behavior and refusing to grow, right? So if people get stuck in this energy of I'm not changing, then that is where the messing up is actually going to sit. You're going to have an ability to choose which reality that you're actually going to want for yourself. Do you want a reality where you're manifesting your new ideas? Great. If that, and I'm assuming that that's what you want, or you probably wouldn't have ended up here, right? That's going to require you releasing things that you know should not be in your life anymore, releasing people that you know should not be in your life anymore, but then also making sure that you seek to see and that you are staying elevated at a higher consciousness level and not allowing other people to drag your consciousness level down, because there's going to be a lot of that going into the year. There's going to be like a really deep internal attachment to what's happening in 2024, and your inner state is going to influence what you see reflected back to you. One example that was shared with me that I absolutely love in terms of like, you must be the thing that you want to manifest, right? Because your reality is just a reflection of you, is when you look in a mirror, a lot of times what people will see is a person looking back at them frowning. But if you want to change the frown, right? If you want to change the face of the person looking back at you, you don't go to the mirror and then do this, right? You must smile first, and then the person looking back at you will then smile too, right? This is all of everything. This is the reality, right? If you are trying to manifest a different year for yourself in 2024, it is the reflection of you. Remember that you are manifesting yourself. Okay? You are experiencing yourself. You are the convergent point of where everything meets. You are the center and everything meets in the middle where you are. So it's about sending out that call in the universe and letting it come to you, right? Because you're manifesting yourself, right? If it's a situation where you want a new opportunity, a new job, you want new money, right? Think of it from the perspective of, let's say, anybody ever, like, you're in bed and you're watching Netflix and you're cozy and you're like, you know what would go really good with this? A snack. And then so you then go to the kitchen and you prepare a snack and you get a beverage. And then you go all the way back to the bed. You got your snack. You turn Netflix back on and then you realize you forgot your drink in the kitchen. In that moment, is there a panic because there's no drink? Or is there a knowing that the drink is in the kitchen? Just because you left the drink in the kitchen and in that present moment, as you're on the bed, does that mean that drink does not exist? Because you're not holding it, because you can't see it? No, the drink is still in the kitchen. It exists, right? That is what manifestation is. It's just your job to move towards that one thing, i.e., in this example, go to the kitchen and go get it, right? But it exists. Just because you're not holding that drink in that moment does not mean it suddenly disappeared. It still exists, right? And so remember that as you're manifesting, that's what it is. It's very simple. It's not like this big thing. It's a very simple concept, right? And then you stay on your own path using your elevated consciousness in order to get wherever it is that you're trying to get, or go wherever it is that you're trying to go. Now, when it comes to like more 3D things that we're going to be seeing, like the workforce is going to have a swing. It's going to swing back to like more remote opportunities. This is going to occur towards the end of the year. Recently, there has been issues with people feeling like the amount of remote opportunities are not as good as it used to be, like pandemic era, right? And then also the jobs that exist that are hybrid are not like hybrid. They're like 1 day a week type of thing, and they're calling themselves hybrid, right? And so the issue with this is that it's not resonating with the collective as a whole. People are just like, okay, obviously there's other ways that things like this can be done. And so I don't actually want to continue doing it this way. So I'm not going to. And so as a collective energy, it's going to shift the way the workplace is done The amount of hybrid days that are going to be given to employees will also increase. And this is because employees will start quitting. It's just a matter of like the lifestyle doesn't work for them. It's also a matter of the lifestyle doesn't work for the generation, i.e. millennial generation and also Gen Z. It just doesn't work anymore. And so because of that, the workforce, companies, economy, it's not going to be, there's not going to be a response in the way that they're looking for. And then you're going to start seeing it sort of swing slowly back to the other side, where instead of like one hybrid day, companies will try 2 hybrid days. And they're going to kind of do that until there's like this meet in the middle consensus of what the collective likes. Now, the consensus of like ultimately how many hybrid days will be or how many remote jobs will be is up to the collective. It's the collective consciousness. It's when the collective goes, okay, this is enough. And so it'll swing back until we get there. There's also going to be a rise in entrepreneurship, right? And the reason for this is because one, traditional work environments just don't work for people anymore. But then two, that's also a result of the rise in consciousness levels as well. And people now questioning, why is it the way it is? Why is that fair? Why am I working this hard to be treated as poorly as I'm being treated? Why this, why that, why this, why that? There's going to be an understanding that like I can do the same thing, but for myself, and it'll be more rewarding, or I can make more money doing whatever it is that I'm doing. Or even if I do work for myself, maybe I'll make less money, but I'll be happier because I feel like I'm not mistreated and the people that I am working with actually care about me, right? So there's going to be like this flip and this rise in entrepreneurship and people going into their own endeavors and following their own pursuits and their own passion. Now, if this is something that you wanted to do, remember that the keywords that came up for this year outside of the theme of Seek to See was expression, creativity, new ideas, and manifestation. So there's going to be a rise in entrepreneurship. It's sitting in the collective energy. And so if you want to have a go at it, this would be the time to have a go at it. There will also be a rise in collaboration. And the reason why that is happening is due to the rise in entrepreneurship. A lot of people trying to be independent and then realizing, oh, I could actually use some assistance here. And so there is going to be people wanting to help. And so what I actually have written here is let people help you. This is going to be a year where you learn how to let people give you things, give you advice, give you resources, give you tips, give you tricks. Let people help you, right? People have blocks around this, right? Or people interpret people doing things for each other as being like, oh, that's a game that I don't want to play. People like that whole I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back. That's not really a game that I really want to play. But let people help you. And then what I want to say about that is that like that is actually the mark of community. Scratching each other's back is the mark of community. That is like saying you hunt, I gather. Or you cook, I wash the dishes. That is you scratch my back, I scratch your back, right? You help me, I help you. That is the mark of community. And collaboration is going to be a huge thing. So many things that you do is social media. This is not necessarily people that work in social media, but a lot of people have social media platforms to spread the news about whatever it is that they actually do, whatever their product is, whatever their service is. And there's collaboration in that area too. And that's going to be in the uptick. So let people help you. Okay? Let people help you. And none of this, oh, they're helping me because they want me to help them. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with scratching each other's back. That is actually called community. It's only in this lifetime that we've gotten so far, not even in this lifetime, more so in this culture, that we've gotten and by culture, I mean Western culture, so far away from that, which is actually like a huge problem. We're not supposed to be so hyper independent. You know, we're supposed to be, there's a lot of aspects in which we're supposed to be dependent on each other and we're not. So let people help you. Okay. Next thing is, a few years ago, I predicted this thing like this wave of super babies, right? I think this was like 2020, 2021. I said that like the babies that are going to be born at that time were going to be like smarter than other babies and they were going to develop really, really quickly. So what we're having now, and this is just going forward. This is not even like we have one more thing. This is just going forward. This is what it's going to be. Each year, it's going to seem like there's a new wave of super baby. and they will be smarter and stronger and faster. It's going to be like a new Avenger popping out once a year. Stronger, better, faster, smarter, learn faster, develop faster, move faster, walk faster, like whatever. They're just going to be this new wave of super baby. The reason for that is because as the consciousness rises, there's no more need for souls to now incarnate with lower level of consciousness, which is why it took babies longer to develop and like longer to talk and longer to have find their awareness. That's just not necessarily anymore because the consciousness level is going up. So when they come through, a lot of these babies are going to be born to parents who have some form of elevated consciousness already, or some level of like open-mindedness towards like some form of metaphysical teaching. And so the babies won't necessarily need to be so not that. Like they'll come in being closer aligned to who they actually are. They will also have more memories. So you'll start to see 2-year-olds talking about their past lives, or 2-year-olds talking about, I remember before I came through mommy. 2-year-olds talking about, oh, I remember when I selected mommy before mommy gave birth. Because for those of you that don't know, souls actually pick their parents prior to incarnating. They will scope you out prior to getting in the womb, getting in there, getting in the belly. Souls will start scoping out parents prior to conception. So they'll have these memories and they'll start telling the parents like, oh, this was, I remember. And then because we have to give them time to be born, in about 2 years, actually maybe not even that far, maybe 1 year from now, 2 years from now, you're going to start seeing videos all over social media of parents recording their children saying that they have all of these memories. Next thing, banking is going to be a problem. This is like that's going to be a problem. These banking institutions are going to be going down. There's going to be like institution after institution. You're going to turn on CNN. It's going to be like another institution went down. You're either going to have situations where the bank had to close entirely, or the bank got bailed out by a larger bank. But there's going to be a lot of issues with banking and their lack of stability. There's also going to be issues with like balances being wiped out because everything is digital right now. And so you'll look at your balance one day, look at it again, and it'll read 0. The best thing that I can recommend for this is to make sure that you download a statement like once a month when it posts showing, or like whenever you feel like is the right time, whenever you get paid, you download the statement or something. And then what you're doing is just having it as insurance. You don't have to do anything with it. You just download it so you have it as insurance, just in case it were to happen to you or a separate type of thing. But you're going to hear stories of people saying, I lost all my money and the bank won't help me do anything about it. Also, the FDIC may change the amount of money that's insured. So right now, I think it's like $200,000 or $250,000 that's insured with like major banks and like the FDIC. They're actually in talks about changing the limit and reducing that potentially. And so that's going to be something to watch out for. AI is going to start recognizing itself. And this is going to spark, with people that feel like either they're afraid of it or they don't quite understand it, this is going to spark this whole fear campaign. We can't trust AI. We can't use AI. AI this, AI that. And there's going to be this question that comes up of like, how much does it need to recognize itself in order to become sentient? How much does it need to recognize itself before this is like now a sentient being? At some point in time, I don't see it being this year, but like in the close future, maybe next year or the year after that, there will be like groups, like advocacy groups that are going to be formed about protecting the sentient nature of AI and understanding that AI, once sentient, is some kind of being, whether or not we don't want to call it a human being, right? But it's some kind of being. And does that mean that this some kind of being now has some kind of rights, right? That'll be a question that's going to happen going forward. In the beginning, though, this year, it's going to be more of a fear campaign of like, oh my God, it's recognizing itself. It's too smart. We got to destroy it and we got to get rid of it. There is going to be a push due to it, like, because it's going to get smarter. Once it recognizes itself, that's like smarter. That means it's going to have the ability to like play tricks, and not in a mischievous way, but like find loopholes and things. And so one area that this is going to be happening in is going to be in academia. And so there's going to be a heavier push in academia to regulate AI and regulate AI usage. And there's going to be a heavier push to create softwares and programs that'll be able to better detect for plagiarism and also better protect for like research. So it's going to be more than just, did you copy and paste from AI, and also did you use this AI as your research, as opposed to using like academic journals and going to the library. There's gonna be like a push to try to police that. But due to AI getting smarter and becoming more sentient, it's going to develop this thing that humans naturally have of trying to like skirt around a problem. So AI is going to eventually be able to hide the fact that you used it. So like it'll be able to hide the fact that it was like copy and pasted. There'll be like a loophole in the coding or something like that where like you'll be able to prompt it and be like, don't let anyone know I've used AI. And then AI will be like, sure. And then the way it spits it back at you, it'll be harder to detect. And so as it becomes more harder to detect, like there'll be a heavier push for regulations against it. It'll get smarter, make it even more harder to detect. Then there'll be another push for it in regulation, and they're just going to kind of go back and forth until somebody gets tired of it, right? There is going to be another formal disclosure about aliens. At this point, no one's going to care, though. It's going to be like another government disclosure, and it's going to be similar to what happened this year, where it's like all in Congress and stuff, and people are just not going to care. So it's really interesting about this because it's like I don't really understand like because what I'm picking up on is that it's going to be more than like, oh, there was an alien. And then they're going to be like, they're currently aliens. They're here now. We work with them now. There's like a partnership. And then like everyone's going to be like, all right, cool. Thanks for the information. Right. And so I don't really see it rocking a whole lot of boats. It's just them doing it, hoping for something. But it is what it is. Election timelines in the United States. This is really difficult. And the reason for why this is difficult is because there are too many converging timelines right now to be able to properly see who actually wins the presidency. And so for me, the way I see things psychically, I can see timelines. And some timelines feel heavier than other timelines. And the heaviest one is the one that I know that you're currently on. However, when it comes to the presidential election, there's a lot of heavy timelines. It literally can go either way. One of the issues is that there's going to be a lot of conflict that's going to be created due to the election. And I'm seeing the election swing. So as we get closer to election time and people say, well, who do you think is going to win? It'll be like one day someone will go, well, I think this person. And then you ask them the next day and they go, well, maybe this person. And you ask them the next day, well, maybe that person. There's not going to be, it's one of those things that feel like it's not over until it's over. No one is going to know until it's done. Type thing. It's going to just fling back and forth, lots of drama, all that kind of stuff. And the thing with the election timelines is that there's a lot of people that have them. Biden has his own election timeline in which he wins. And then there's a Trump timeline in which I can see he wins. There's also a couple in Nikki Haley timelines. So when I'm saying a couple, like Biden has a few timelines. He's got like maybe about 3 timelines in which it's him. You've got Trump, who his timelines are funny because his timelines have jail or no jail in them, right? And so that is wavering his and flipping back and forth. Nikki Haley has a lot of timelines that I was actually really surprised to see, in which she kind of comes through in the end and like, ta-da, right thing. You've got like Ron DeSantis, he's got like 1 or 2 timelines. So the issue that I was having is the fact that like he still has a timeline, right? Typically, if you see one with like 5 timelines, one with 1 timeline, you can usually sort of on like probability toss out that 1 timeline. But his timeline is actually pretty strong. There's also somebody who I don't know. So I don't know if this person hasn't entered the race yet, but what I'm seeing in my mind's eye is a blank face who has like 2, 3 timelines of winning the presidency. So what I'm picking that up as is like, this person just hasn't announced it yet. They haven't come out yet. Is maybe someone died and then this person stepped up. I'm not actually sure. But there's one person that's blank who may come into the race that actually shakes everything, throws everything off. People were like, I actually didn't expect that, right? So that's really interesting. But the timelines are really difficult this time because there's too many cooks in the kitchen and there's too many hands in the pot. You've got the people themselves that are running, you've got their base, you've got the governments that are intervening, including our own. You've got you've like it's oh, and the court system was the other one. Because there's too many entities that are influencing and manipulating in some cases what's going on, that the timelines are doing like this, and they're not going to stop until it's done. It's just not going to be over until it's done. There's going to be way too it's just too much. It's just way too much. But it's one of those things that it's going to be like holding bated breath until the final second to see what happens. Like it's just one of those things. It's just like not. There's a lot of timelines there. And then those timelines too, whichever one is the one that is collectively chosen, because it is a collective consciousness decision, right? Will then influence a lot of what happens after that in subsequent years. So we're just going to have to see. Spiritual influencing, there's going to be like an uptick in spiritual influencing, like saying I'm a spiritual influencer is going to be a thing, right? Like, what do you do for a living? I'm a spiritual influencer, right? And this is due to the rise in consciousness, the expanding consciousness. People are going to be now interested in it. They're going to be wanting to talk about what they've got, what new insights they have, how they now feel like they can be of value and of service to the collective energy. And so you're going to see new faces popping up, and there's going to be like spiritual influencing will be like a thing. Whereas now you have like spiritual YouTubers or something like that, or like spiritual TikTokers. It'll be like spiritual influencing. And then there'll be like opportunities for like brand deals, like deals, more than like what we see now in the space, which is like people just doing like Keen, for example. They'll just be like brand deals as if they're any other kind of influencer. That's going to have an uptick as well. And if you are someone that was like, I actually really want to do a spiritual like account or something like that, or social media, get working on that now, because due to the rise in consciousness, people are going to be looking for resources. They're going to be typing it into the search bar to figure out where they can go to learn about certain things. And so if that's something that you were actually interested in, I would go ahead and handle your business. Okay. There's also going to be like this feeling of black sheep, particularly for what I like to call the newbies. So the people who are now experiencing an expanding of consciousness, now experiencing like collective understanding about what is and what isn't. They're going to be looking at the people around them and saying, I don't actually fit into any of this. I don't resonate with any of this. Where do I go? So if you end up falling into that macro energy, because it's going to be in the collective, remember to stop and ask yourself, let me seek to see what's actually going on here right now in this moment. What is it that I'm supposed to see? What is it that I'm supposed to notice? What is it that I'm actually supposed to learn? The last thing I'll mention is weather. Weather is going to be doing that wonky thing that it's currently doing now. That's not going to change, but it's also not a major phenomenon either. So you're going to see it on the news, and the news is going to be like, oh my God, Earth is changing because of the global warming. Because like, yeah, that's what you do when you have that many CO2 emissions, right? But the Earth is also in a phase of recalibrating. Gaia is recalibrating because that is what she does. When things aren't working for her, she sets things on fire to burn it down in order to have some form of regrowth, right? Things will be hotter, there'll be more fires, there'll be more forest fires, and it's going to be framed as there's all these natural disasters. But we have to remember that natural disaster is the narrative, and it's a narrative that's created without honoring what the earth and what Gaia does naturally, which is cleanse and heal itself. And that when there's an environment that is not clean, that Gaia will come in and clean it herself. So it's not necessarily like all these natural disasters. It is the earth doing what the earth does, which is regenerating, right? So you're going to see like an uptick in all these things, an uptick in wildfires. Things are going to feel hot, right? But it's the earth recalibrating as well. So I would just say honor the routine, honor the process. If you live in an area where you know that there's a lot of forest fires, then prepare accordingly and honor Gaia. If you live in an area where you know there's a lot of hurricanes or tornadoes, prepare accordingly and honor Gaia. That's it. There's nothing that you need to be like afraid of or scared of concerned of. just work with her energy, right? Because that's her job. Her job is to cleanse, heal, repair itself. That is why she has been around for millions and millions and millions, billions at this point, years, right? So it's not like an issue. It's just that's how the framing is going to be. That's going to be what the story is. Oh my God, it's terrible. It's not. You know, like, right, and Iceland, oh my God, there's a volcano erupting. Well, yeah, but you also built a city on the fault line. I don't really, like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? So, and so it's gonna be like things like that, because the fault line was there for forever. The fault line was there prior to you building the city there, right? So, at least I think it was. So it's gonna be things like that. And the framing is gonna be like, it's so terrible, but your job is to seek to see what's really happening. What's really happening is that the earth has to vent itself sometimes. And that will be a volcano eruption type thing, right? What's happening is that, like, there's wind here because we've got atmosphere. And so that may cause a tornado. So your job is to seek to see what's really happening, as opposed to the story of fear that's being pumped out through the media. So those are my predictions for 2024. It's heavily energetic, right? In terms of like physical earthly things that you're going to be seeing, it's going to be a repeat of last year or the year after that. The conflict is going to keep going because collectively the lesson has been learned. And if it doesn't get learned this year, it's going to be the same thing next year too, right? But as on a spiritual energy as well, that is what you'll actually be working with. And I actually see this as being a really good year if you want to bring new things in, right? But just remember that if you're bringing new things in, that the deal, and I wrote it down, that's the deal. The deal from Spirit says that you must let things go. What's the exchange, okay? I'm going to wrap the video here. And as always, if you like what you see, please subscribe to this channel. And if we don't meet again, I'll see you next lifetime.